Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Today we'll be discussing Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 3, text 26. Na buddhi bhedam janayet agnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidwan yuktah samacharan. So, in the previous verse, Krishna talked about Vidwan and Avidwan. How an Avidwan does his work, being attached to it to enjoy the result of that work, whereas a Vidwan also should work, but not with attachment, but with the intent to show an example to this Avidwan. And Krishna continues the similar instruction, what a Vidwan should do. So this Vidwan, he should na buddhi bhedam janayet agnanam karma sanginam. This Avidwan or Agnanam, Krishna is calling him as Agnanam, Karma Sanginam, those who are interested in enjoying the karma, their buddhi bhedam na janayet. These Vidwan should not disrupt their intelligence, should not do something or say something that confuses them or that messes their sanity. Then what should they do? Then what should Vidwan do? Joshayet sarva karmani Vidwan yuktaha samacharan. Joshayet means dovetail. Whatever this Avidwan or Agnanam is doing, the Vidwan should dovetail that. Yes, they may be doing something incorrectly or they may be doing something materialistic, sinful, but the Vidwan should find an opportunity how they can dovetail their talent, their activity, Joshayet sarva karmani, in whatever they are doing, yuktaha samacharan. He should engage in the spirit of devotion. So Prabhupada translates this verse beautifully. He says, let not the wise disrupt the minds of the ignorant who are attached to fruitive action. They should not be encouraged to refrain from work, but to engage in work in the spirit of devotion. So basically, a realized soul in Krishna consciousness should not disturb others in their activities or understanding, but he should act by showing how all works can be dedicated to service of Krishna. So he should inspire that ignorant person so that he can learn how to act and how to behave. So that means Krishna is giving the instruction that this Agnanam, the ignorant man, better not to disturb him in his activities. But the higher instruction is, Prabhupada says, a slightly developed Krishna conscious person may directly engage this person, Agnani, in the service of the Lord directly. So that's the point. So one time there was this, in the forest, there was this monkey. And everybody started to scold this monkey, blame this monkey, and say that you are good for nothing. All you are doing is creating disturbances. And so you are good for nothing. So this monkey became very upset. It went to his mother and asked, so what should I do? I feel very bad. People think I am good for nothing. And the monkey said, so there is one sadhu who is also a very good advisor to our king. You should go and submit your plea to the sadhu and see what he says. So the monkey goes to the sadhu. And the sadhu, obviously, he is equipped to talk with animals. And he asks, what do you want? The monkey says this is what is happening. Nobody is recognizing. And in fact, they say, I'm good for nothing. And the sadhu, who also happens to be a minister, says, no, 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 you're very good in what you're doing. I'll tell you what to do. And the monkey says, what should I do? He says, the king is having a problem. So there are these thieves and rogues, they live in jungles and they loot these people. And in fact, they attack the king's soldiers also who go to catch them in the night. So then what should I do? So go along with the soldiers. And when they are sleeping at night, when these rogues are coming, you go to some other tree and make a big noise, shake those branches and jump and all of that. And then the rogues and thieves will think somebody is there and they start going to that direction. And now the soldiers would have woken up by your antics and they can easily go and catch them. And the monkey starts to follow that. He goes along with these soldiers, and now the soldiers are able to catch these people so easily. And everybody becomes so happy and pleased with this monkey. And the monkey becomes part of the king's kingdom and the royal entourage. And then these other animals, when they see this king going in a royal procession, and they see this monkey is also there. Hey, how you became part of this royal entourage? And then the monkey says, by the blessing of this sadhu who gave me advice, by continuing to do what I am good at, now I became part of this king's entourage. So you see how this sadhu, who is a vidwan, the realized sage, he did not disrupt the monkey and say, now you stop being a monkey and start meditate or be a sadhu. Of course, you can be a sadhu by continuing to do what you are doing. So what he did is, Joshayet, he dovetailed what the monkey is good at. He dovetailed it in the service of the king. So the monkey, by being who he is, he became elevated to the status of the king's entourage. So similarly, the avidwan is like a monkey. There are different classes of people. Monkey is one class who is called busy foolish. So the first category is lazy intelligent. Lazy intelligent means, of course, one might think lazy is bad, but materially lazy and spiritually active. The highest Krishna conscious person, he may seem very disinterested in material things, may even appear lazy in material things, but he is very active spiritually and intelligent. What his activities, he might seem like a lazy person, but he is the most intelligent. That is the first class, lazy intelligent. And then the second class is busy intelligent. The Kshatriyas, the first class is the Brahmanas. The Kshatriya is very busy, but he is doing something meaningful, and because he is doing the Lord's work of administrating by following the order of the Brahmana. And then there is lazy intelligent, lazy foolish, who is the Vaishya, who is lazy, but he is using his brain for materially improving his prosperity. He doesn't know that it doesn't help him eventually at the time of death. So therefore, that's why he is foolish, but he is lazy. And the last class is busy foolish, just like a monkey. They are busy. Monkey is jumping from one tree to the other, doing all kinds of antics without any use, creating all trouble with its so-called busy activity. Foolish, because it's all on the material platform. So the Sudras are considered busy foolish. Of course, when I say Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, it is not by birth. it is by one's activities. By birth, you may be born in a Sudra family, but by activity, if you are cultivating Krishna consciousness and acting like a Brahmana, you are categorized as a Brahmana. So, like that, these are by qualification. So, if you see somebody very busy in this world, but they don't have any inkling of Krishna consciousness, any inkling of spirituality, they may be wearing suit and coat and driving a very big car, having personal assistants, maybe in a very good post, always busy. They don't even have time to eat. It doesn't mean that they are intelligent. They must be intelligent on the spiritual platform. However, even the busy foolish can also be elevated if their activities are dovetailed in the service of the Lord. That's what this verse says. One time Prabhupada was asked by one, or in one conversation with one disciple, Prabhupada said how to preach to people. He said, if you see a spark of Krishna consciousness in someone, you should fan that spark. You see how a small spark, when you fan it, it ignites, isn't it? Into a fire. It becomes a big fire eventually. So, a Vidwan, a Krishna conscious person, should see that spark in somebody and fan that spark. Just like this sadhu fanned that spark of that monkey and made it into a very elevated position. So Prabhupada, he said how to fan that spark. He gave another story. He told the story of a thief in Vrindavan. So this thief means what? He has the spirit of stealing. Agnani, a foolish person, stealing. So, but what happened? He happened to hear a Bhagavat recital of Krishna's Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, where Krishna is described beautifully. So this thief heard how Mother Yashoda decorates Krishna with valuable jewels, ornaments, and sends him to play in the forest with his friends and cows. And Krishna is a small boy. And the thief thought, oh, the moment he heard these jewels and ornaments, jewels, I shall go get those jewels. I shall tell something fascinating to the small boy. He will fall into my trap and give all the jewels to me. And so he went to the Vrindavan forest and began eagerly looking for Krishna. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? And because of that eagerness, Krishna appeared to him. And then the thief said, oh, you are such a nice boy, and started to flatter the boy. And why don't you give me your jewels? And Krishna said, no, 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 my mother would chastise me. And the thief said, oh, yes, it's all right. And he started to say some good words and try to deceive Krishna. You can give them to me. And they argued back and forth. And all this while, by Krishna's association, the thief was becoming a pure devotee. And in the end, Krishna said, okay, you take it. But then the thief, by now he became a devotee. He fell down, offered his obeisances, and surrendered to Krishna. So, Prabhupada said, this eagerness is required to become Krishna conscious. How the thief was so eager, but he was still a thief. But by hearing Bhagavatam, the sadhu fanned that spark in this thief. Even if you are the thief, even if you have bad qualities, by yearning to meet Krishna, by yearning, eager to touch Krishna, have Krishna's association, you can be purified. So Prabhupada said to her, so similarly, if there is anything in anyone, you should bring that out, fan that spark. Like how Prabhupada had done when he went to America in 1965. He would accept, accommodate, and find something for everyone. Whether it is a musician, or a painter, or a car driver, cab driver, or a hippie who is just intoxicated. Anybody who he found, he engaged them in Krishna service. He never said, oh, to become a devotee, first he never introduced any rules and regulations. So when we take initiation, we have to abide by these 4 regulations. No meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit relations, and no gambling. But when Prabhupada, he came to the West, he never emphasized on these 4 regulations. He only emphasized on chanting the holy name. And he would engage them in chanting the holy name. He would engage them in whatever service. You see, in the beginning, they were coming to Prabhupada, and one time, one Mataji, she went to some antique store, and she found a wooden doll, and she brought it to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, he saw, and this wooden doll is nothing but Lord Jagannath. And Prabhupada immediately offered his obeisances. Oh, you brought Lord Jagannath. And this Mataji was not very sure who it is, and Prabhupada explained it is how Krishna, he appeared in this form in Jagannath Puri. And then he said, then you should also be able to find 2 other similar dolls, Jagannath, Baldev, and Subhadra. So go get them. And so she went and brought those. And then Prabhupada said, okay, let be engaged in carving Jagannath deity. And so he found her husband, Shyam Sundar Prabhu. He can carve. And so he ordered to carve these Jagannath deities. And so this Shyam Sundar Prabhu was carving. And he was smoking at the same time, and he was carving the deity. And Prabhupada, even though they had so many inabilities, even though they are in so much of tamoguna, he still engaged them. And Prabhupada, one time he went to the apartment to see how the carving work is going on. And he found a cigarette piece when he was carving on that wood. And Prabhupada, he used his cane stick to push it out. And he said, it's better you don't smoke while doing God's work. So Prabhupada, and by the humility of Prabhupada's approach, they listened and they appreciated and they hankered to do service for Krishna, and they progressed tremendously. So this is the called fanning the spark. Bhagavatam says, idam hi pumsas tapasya shrutasya va svistasya suktasya cha buddhi dattayoh avityutordha kavibhir nirupito yaduttama shloka gunanu varnanam. It basically says, you may have many talents, you may have expertise in many fields, but the purpose of all of them culminates in the transcendental descriptions and glorifications of the Lord. Or in other words, the ultimate purpose of any of your expertises, knowledge, or duties is if you engage them in glorifying Lord or in Krishna consciousness. So that's your spark. And if you are able to engage in Krishna's service, you are fanning your spark. So the Vidwan or the devotee does not enforce their viewpoint or disturb them, buddhi bhedam. It's an important quality of a devotee. Yasman no dvijate loko, lokan no dvijate jayaha. He will not agitate somebody nor gets agitated by somebody. He will only fan that spark. So if you go to the tree and you see a lot of fruits, we only pick the ripe fruits, isn't it? The unripe fruits we don't pick because it still needs to be cooked by the sun. So similarly in Krishna consciousness, we pick the ripe fruits, people who have that spark, who are ready. Those who are still unripe, let them be cooked by the Maya. They are still being cooked by Maya. They are still not ready. So we should try who is ripe, who is not ripe, and we should not disturb those who are not ripe. Like you conduct a debate and try to enforce your viewpoint, it won't be useful. They will remain like that. In fact, they may become more antagonistic. So Bhagavatam says a devotee is very expert. He does four things, especially a preaching devotee. What is that? He loves Krishna. He establishes friendship and association with devotees. And he shows mercy to those who are ignorant. And the fourth is he avoids those who are envious. So this verse is talking about the third category. The third category is who are agnanis, but who are not envious. They are just unaware. They are foolish, but they have that spark. So for those people, krupa. For Ishvara, Ishvare tadadhineshu baliseshu dvishatsu cha prema maitri krupopeksha yah karoti samadhyama. That is the preaching devotee who, for Ishvara, he shows prema, and for Adhineshu, Ishvara Adhineshu, for his devotees, he shows maitri, and for Baliseshu, for those who are ignorant like Balaks, but who are innocent, eager, he shows krupa, and Dvishatsu, for those who are dveshis, envious of God, atheists, he ignores. There was one person who was a very wealthy businessman. He became a devotee. He was in Toronto. He had a health spa. He was having a business, very flourishing business. And he got introduced to devotees and books and our movement. And eventually he became a devotee and he even became initiated. So he wrote one of his realizations. So he said, when you are into business, which he had, you're letting yourself in for all kinds of problems and anxieties, so which he was facing. And he was getting sucked into, the rabbit hole, they say, by his business. But then he said, but by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and reading authorized books on Krishna consciousness, I have learned how to dovetail my work in the service of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. And this has brought me great peace. So, to remove his anxiety, he read the books of Prabhupada. He started to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And he dovetailed his work in the service of the Lord, which means he engaged the result of his business in donating for Krishna consciousness movement. That is for the service of the Lord. And this has brought me great peace. So this is how one should dovetail. Our acharyas, especially Narottam Das Thakur, he said this formula: Kama Krishna Karmarpane Krodha Bhakta Dveshi Jane. Kama means lust or our desires to improve materially. He said Kama can also be dovetailed. How? You have to dovetail Kama by offering the fruits of your work for Krishna's satisfaction. You work nicely, you earn nicely, or you do anything that you want nicely. But by doing that, you engage in Krishna's service. Anger, krodha, bhakta dveshi jane. You dovetail anger in the service of the Lord by becoming angry at those who are envious of Vaishnavas. And you dovetail greed by becoming greedy to improve in Krishna consciousness, to hear topics of Krishna, to have association of Vaishnavas. So, like that, everything can be dovetailed in the service of the Lord. And that's what a devotee does. Because Krishna consciousness is so nice that even Kamsa, who was thinking of Krishna always, oh, when Krishna will be born, when Krishna will be born, he will kill me, he will kill me. He was getting purified. Even if you approach Krishna in a bad way, in not the right way, but because you are in touch with Krishna, you will get purified. Because the fire, whether you touch it willingly or unwillingly, fire will act. So what to speak of engaging with love, engaging intentionally, favorably, the progress you make will be tremendous. So I'll stop here. Anybody has any questions or comments? Feel free to unmute yourself. Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.